Well, good morning. And we cannot start today without doing what, of course, we have to do for someone very special. And you all have been waiting for this. So please join me just for a moment. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. So what was this? You all joined me, but let's first of all reveal it. It was, of course, Geraldine's 44th birthday a couple of days ago. Congratulations, all the very best. But you all sang a song because I told you. Because it became your job description just for a moment, right? And you weren't quite sure why, you weren't quite sure who this was for, but you thought, better join in to not look stupid. Well, here's the thing, right? Job descriptions can be very useful at times, and at times they just lead you in a completely wrong direction. So I want to talk to you about today why you should perhaps ditch your job description and to do what's right and to save your firm. But before I do, I want to share something very personal. I want to share something I'm quite embarrassed about, a revelation I want to make today about something I've done in the past and something I'm not very proud of. And I always hoped that it wouldn't really see the light of the day, but with so many brave people in the room today, I felt I can just say it. Because early on in my marketing career, I was a brand manager for a very iconic brand. A brand that takes a lot of technology to make. A product and a brand that our grandparents didn't have, and that many of us can't even imagine living without anymore. In fact, most people that I know even take it with them into their bedroom. Kitchen towel. I was the marketing manager of this brand, and I had the job grow this brand. And I did, with everything in the bag of my tricks, TV advertising, radio, direct mail, coupons, everything we could imagine to do to bring it into more countries, and it worked. I grew this brand. My boss was very happy. I got the promotion. But I should not have done it. Because in the 3 years of my work, I destroyed millions of company value. Here's the truth about kitchen towel. People don't care. I sometimes felt kitchen towel only exists to make every other product look really interesting. This is about the lowest price or about some radical innovation. We were a high-cost firm. We couldn't really cut the prices. We should have sold this while it was still big and not 10 years later for almost nothing. My job description was in a way. But I was not the only one. You probably remember the BlackBerry, the Z10 was the last one of the famous BlackBerries. And the BlackBerry advertising team put millions of dollars into advertising for the new Z10 weeks before the entire firm folded. Because their job description said, do advertising. The engineers at Volkswagen are trying to sell you a navigation system for 600, for 800, for 1,000 pounds. Instead of giving it for free, in return for your login and for your data, so their maps get better than Google's, because their job description doesn't say, save your firm. And the people at this restaurant, where I was recently, went all the way, edited the menu, reprinted it, laminated, to show you what you can no longer order. Job descriptions have become a real problem. I mean, it all started about 100 years ago in 1920 when a guy called Morris Vittles invented the job descriptions. Vittles, what he did is he observed the accountants at a railway company. Must have looked like this. This is the Bank of England, but I'm sure it looked like this, the accounting department. And he checked what they were doing, and every evening he found they were separating the cash from the ticket, they were doing invoices, they were doing statistics and printing all sorts of paper. And Vittles noted down 19 different jobs that the accountants were doing, 19 different jobs. And he codified them in what he called the job specification. And it was a breakthrough, because all of a sudden now the firm could hire and train and recruit and pay all the accountants in exactly the same way, time and again. And 100 years later, we still love the job description. We can give it to people and hold them accountable. We can add fancy new competencies once we've been at one of our mindfulness seminars. We can even give them to HR so we don't have to worry about people anymore. The job description works under one condition. What customers want doesn't change. On another day, the job description would have been the perfect tool. Unfortunately, today is not another day. And you all know this. We are currently observing perhaps the biggest change in industry since the Industrial Revolution. What we're seeing here is the change from the selling economy to a relationship economy. If you think about it, how did the selling economy work? The selling economy worked in the following way. Someone came up with a product, and ideally a product with a USP, something special, a unique selling proposition, a purple cow. So people would see it and love it and take it home in a moment. If you think about it, in the selling economy, we basically perfected the one-night stand. Yeah? Being attractive in a moment, people take us home. But big changes are coming, and of course you know this, because someone has figured out how to do a relationship, that because of technologies, firms can now make products, make services, tailored for customers, time and time and time again, at scale. A couple of days ago, I received my first personal hair shampoo. I gave those guys 10 facts about my skin, and they mixed for me the orange and the purple bottle. Bottles that only I have. Well, needless to say, I lied about my hairstyle to them. When you want to buy a L'Oreal lipstick, you go to a shop. If you live in China, what you can do there is you can buy directly online from L'Oreal. L'Oreal in China built a massive online store, and they're selling direct, and they're building millions and millions of customer relationships time and time again. And if the one-night stand is still your thing, and you don't have the cash, and you need a confidence-building car, there's now the confidence-building car at a monthly flat rate. It's called Porsche Passport. So you can get a Porsche, you can get your one-night stand, you still have a relationship, just this time with Porsche. Big changes are coming. I don't need to tell you this because you're the guys who are working on the leading edge of our industry. You know that these changes are coming. This is no news for you. The question is, what's your real job? Is your job to do your marketing, to do your campaigns, to do whatever clients tell you, and to deliver? Or is your job to actually step back, lead the thinking, and help the place you work for, help your clients, help your company to make it in the relationship economy? I believe for great marketers, it's the latter. And if you want, then I have tips for you. Tip number one I have for you is this: tackle big issues. Hard work is appreciated, that's what people hope. So they put in the long hours and go the extra mile and work hard, and then the meeting gets cancelled, the budgets get cut, the projects get pulled. Hard work is the entry ticket to a play called relevance. Whatever your job description says, nobody will give you credit for hard work. What people will give you credit for is for work that matters. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the US. I worked with chief marketing officers, and I asked them, what's on the mind of your CEOs? Make a list. And then we had to break the meeting so people could make calls to fill all the blanks. And when they came back, they made a sobering discovery. Less than half of their work was relevant for the top people in their organization. No surprise, budgets got cut. So here's what you can do. Try this. Think about the client you work for. Think about the organization you work for. Think about the customers you're serving. And ask yourself, what is the biggest positive difference you can make as a marketer? And once you know, think about how you can put that in place, how you can make that happen. Reality is, you won't be able to immediately change all your work. Maybe you have to do some of the crappy things you're currently doing to make ends meet. But once you know what matters, it will put you on the right path, because know-how is good, but know-why is big. And that brings me to the next point that's so important nowadays in marketing, which is to raise your craft. As a marketer, you get paid for the most important thing a company does next to innovation, and that is finding a customer at the lowest possible cost. And marketing is an applied science. And to raise your craft, what you do in marketing is you do a great strategy, but then you pack your bags and you go on a tour and you travel on the big world map of something called A/B testing. What's better, a Facebook ad or a TV ad? What's better, a coupon or an influencer? What's better, 5% price increase or a 7% price decrease? What's better, a shop, brick and mortar, or an online store? And so on and so on. Great marketers know the answers because they have traveled on the big world map of A/B testing. And the map is big. On top it has all the 4 Ps, right? The product, the place, the price, the promotion. On the other axis is all the instruments, the TV, the radio, the brick and mortar stores, the price increases, the decreases, has all these things. That's the map, that's your world, and this is how you build your craft. The truth is, we've stopped traveling. We've become local. Give you some examples. KPMG, the consultancy, just brought out a new study about what they call millennials. I call them young people, they call them millennials, although they should know better. 17.5% of all their purchase decisions are influenced by social media. Yet in the US, very soon, marketers will throw over half of their entire marketing budgets into social media channels because they've stopped traveling. P&G not long ago cut $200 million of advertising spend in digital because it had absolutely no impact on the business. They spent it because the digital team's job description said, do digital marketing. P&G has stopped for a little while to do what they've always done exceptionally well, travel on the A/B testing map. Being a good marketer has never been harder because being a mediocre marketer has never been easier. And it's not your fault because more and more people put marketers into small boxes. They put you in a box called whatever, social media. And they don't let you travel. So they say, do social media. It's because it's easier. Right? No long campaign briefings, no long creative briefings. You just book and go and someone will click. And companies like that. And if they make your box even smaller, they tell you, don't do the A/B testing, don't do the learning, let someone else do it. And if that happens to you, you become what I call a local marketer, someone who's only traveled between the next doors around the corner. The problem with this is you will not raise your craft, and one day they'll replace you with an algorithm who can book the ads, who can make the short and quick creatives, and do it faster and more efficient than you can. So how do you raise your craft? How do you raise your craft? Think about the industry you're working in. Think about the products, the clients you're serving, and think about what would be the really ideal marketing we should do. And think big. It's not just social media or TV. What else do we need to do? Prices, stores, where do we need to go? And then mark your dream destinations on the A/B testing map. Make your bucket lists of places where you want to go. And then start with short trips. Branch out of your little box. Do more. And do more. And do more. And if they don't let you, go somewhere that does. Because with every trip on the A/B testing map, you'll raise your craft as a marketer and you'll become more influential. Talking about influence, next important tip, be your own influencer. The internet is great because if you know something and you want to do a blog that 100,000 people read, you can. But the internet is also great for people who don't know much, but who are really good with a camera and who wear a funny hoodie. And they call themselves influencers. But when you really check what they're saying, most of it doesn't hold. And that's why it should go straight into a bin. And that's why I call them Bin-Fluencers. And here are some great examples, our favorite examples. Okay, it's all about creating a perfect, a wonderful customer experience. Okay, United Airlines, you know, the one that drags passengers out of planes and kills their pets. just had a record year. Never flown as many passengers before, ever. And every single week, thousands of people are queuing up for the privilege to be humiliated by a Ryanair crew just to save some bucks. Here's the brutal truth about customer experience. Customers and companies have one joint objective: more at lower costs. Exactly the same objective. And I tell you what, depending on the industries, depending on the offers, people love a great experience, but they'll just do without it if the price is right. It's not that simple. Okay, how about this? Brand engagement is the new currency. Brand engagement is the new currency. Well, which are the fastest growing retail chains in food? It's Aldi and Lidl. And trust me, nobody wants to engage with the Aldi brand, ever. In fact, you'd have to pay people money for them to read an Aldi blog. And most people I know would rather hide the logo on the bag. But people know they go there, and each time they do, there's good stuff at a low price. People don't engage with brands. People engage with things that matter to them. And commercial offers aren't always topping that list, whatever your content influencer tells you. I have one more. This is actually quite brand new. It's brand new. It's this. Modern marketing is all about getting people to spend more time with your brand. I like this. Now, the biggest success in consumer goods in the last couple of years that I know is the Dollar Shave Club. Big brand, built from nothing. You know what the promise is of the Dollar Shave Club? You can now spend less time with your shaver brand. That's the reality. It's not how it works. And finally, this one. Brick and mortar retail is dead. Well, Amazon keeps opening stores. They bought Whole Foods. Best Buy, electronic chain, just had a record year. And Tesla, after publicly announcing they close all stores, a week later made a U-turn and say, now all the stores will stay. The thing is this: yes, online is growing, and yes, it's hard on the high street, and yes, people have lost touch with brands like Marks and Spencer's and Sears and others. But the point is, in Europe, brick and mortar retail is still over 80% of the business. And there is a lot of money to be made in brick and mortar retail. That is, if the marketers get it right, and that's you. So, step number one is unfollow the Bin-Fluencers. It's quite important. Unfollow the Bin-Fluencers. That's the first thing you do. And then you become your own influencers. And how you do this? It's very simple. Think about your industry and make your list of the 5, the 7, the 10 truths. The truths that matter. Why do people buy? Why do they come again? Why do they buy more? What are competitors doing? What's happening in technology? What's happening in the retail landscape? My list is not complete, and my list is not your list. As an influencer, you build your own list. You find your own truth. And once you know, you spread the truth. And this will make you a true influencer. Now, here's a watch out. If people like you, people with substance, are going around and talking, there's a risk that people will give you the label boring. But you know what? If doing the right things means you're less sexy, well, that's what you get paid for. And secondly, you could still wear a funny hoodie if you want to. And that really brings us to the next hugely important point, which is lead the thinking. As a marketer, lead the thinking. Doing marketing is not the same as leading marketing. The success of everything we'll be talking about at this conference, the success of all the work you have in mind, the things that you study, the things you dream of, isn't so much about your idea, isn't so much about your tools, your technologies. It's whether people like you find ways to make change happen in companies so your idea actually sees the light of the day, so people can actually see, customers can actually see what you had in mind. Let me say a few words about this. We've written a book, Paddy Bowers and I. It's called The 12 Powers of a Marketing Leader. It's the first leadership book for marketers. It's still the only leadership book for marketers. And if you don't have a copy, I hope you get one. And don't take my word for it, but take the word of Seth Godin, take the word of Jim Stengel, Sil Zeller, and of course the lovely Sherilyn. Thank you very much for that again, Sherilyn. What we found in this study is remarkable. Leadership skills, change leadership skills for your success are 3 times more important than your marketing skills, your technical marketing skills. The great marketers that you know, Diageo, Sil Zeller, P&G's Pritchard, Unilever's Keith Sweet, who's now left. These are people who are not just good marketers. What they do is the following. They help people above them make better decisions. And this is your job as a marketer. If you want to thrive, help the people above you make better decisions. Now, how do you do this? How do you become such a leader? Well, think about the next project you're on, the next marketing thing you want to do. And ask yourself, what would it really take for my boss, for my client, for my organization to make this idea happen? The new brand positioning, the new product, the new whatever you have in mind. And think about the bigger picture of all the changes that are required, that your boss, your client, and all the people above you need to take. You know, what are the people they need to work with? What are the stories they need to tell? What's the bigger picture of change? And if you do, people will recognize you as a thought leader. And if they recognize you as a thought leader, they'll give you a seat at the table. And that's why you need to lead the thinking. And that really gets me to the last point I want to make. And that to me is the most important, is to show the fire in your eyes. As marketers, as agency leaders, as coming marketers, as students in marketing, you have a role where everybody you work with, when they listen to your idea, can say no. Your boss can say no, your colleagues can say no, in fact, even your teams can say no, and of course, your clients can say no anyway. This is the world you live in. That's why the biggest power, the biggest weapon you have as a marketer is your inspiration. You cannot tell people what to do. You will never have a job where you can tell people what to do. That's why it's so important that you find a way to inspire people so they follow you. How do you inspire other people? What's the trick? Seminars? Public speaking courses? How do you do that? There's a very simple trick. To inspire other people, what you need to do is you need to find what inspires you. The key to inspiring other people is your own inspiration. The things that inspire you will help you inspire other people. The question is, what is this? What inspires you? What inspires you so much that it can actually help you to inspire other people? Well, if you don't know, here's a simple trick. Take blank sheets of paper, give it to 10 people, and ask the people to write down in confidence how you have inspired them in the past. Perhaps get a friend to collect all the sheets so people feel free to say what they believe. And then look at these sheets and you will be amazed how inspirational you are today already without taking any more courses. And once you know what this is, simply double up on it. Do more of it. Do more of it. And that will make you an inspirational marketer. Okay, I want to end with a short story that to me captures the essence of what we have talked about today. A couple of weeks ago in Paris, a gentleman by the name of Monsieur Le Beur wanted to board a bus, a public bus. And the other passengers didn't make space. Now what you need to know is Monsieur Le Beur is in a wheelchair. Nobody made space, although there was space. The driver saw this and he took a very brave action. He made an announcement and said, "This bus ends here, everybody get off." Now this is Paris, people were shouting, but of course eventually they got off the bus. And when everybody was off, the driver invited Monsieur Lebert to board the bus, closed the door, and drove him to his destination. That's what change leaders do. The path to success for yourself, for the clients you work for the firms you work for, is not in your job description. It's in your hearts and it's in your minds.